absolutely fantastic. I feel badly about stopping because it's so beautiful what you're doing. We love to, everybody in the room is feeling, what a pleasure it is to hear that. It's such a high level of playing. And at your stage to play as beautifully as you do, I mean, your reputation has already spread, and now I know why. I'll tell you a story, because they may be saying, well, what could he possibly add to that? And I'll tell you a very interesting story. When I was a student, about your age, I was studying with a very great cellist called Casado. Do you know Gaspar Casado? Right. And I traveled with Gaspar Casado all over. We lived in Italy and in Florence. I spent 5 years with him, and I traveled with him. And he played many, many, many concerts. And one day, he was playing a Dvorak concerto. And he was playing like a pig. It was just awful. And you know, I was a hot young cellist, and I think the maestro's playing like a pig. And then, because he didn't practice all the time, and he was a great cellist, maybe the greatest who ever lived, I don't know, could be. But he didn't practice, and so sometimes he didn't play well. And so he was playing terribly. And I looked at my next door neighbor, and tears were streaming down her face. And I was 16, actually, I remember. I wasn't as old as you. I was 16 years old. And I remember saying to myself, oh, I see. It isn't about how he's playing. It's about how he's being. Right? And he managed to touch that woman sitting next to me in a way that most cellists or most musicians actually never do, because they're so focused on playing really, really beautiful. And your attention is on that. And if I could say this, what's next for you is your relationship with the audience and telling the story of this music in such a way that they are touched in spite of your great cello playing. Do you get it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, can you understand that? Because it's such a strange thing to say in a way. Your playing is only a vehicle to the heart. It's a roadway to the heart. It is not the heart itself. So let's explore a little bit about this. Elgar, of course, we know Elgar as, you know, a comfortable English gentleman with a moustache and pomp and circumstance and life in England and the empire and all that, and all that music. But actually, he was a very tormented soul. I think of Elgar as the English Mahler. He was out of place in England society. He was a Catholic in a Protestant country. And he married above his station, which is something that we don't even think about nowadays. You know, somebody from rather poor circumstances, simple school teacher, married up into the upper classes. And he always felt like an outsider, just like Mahler did. Right? And he worked very hard to be accepted, and he was, but always that pull back. And this is his last piece. This is the piece he wrote at the end of his life, saying farewell, and all that trauma and sadness and sense of being outside, heartbreak, as well as the outward English success story. Right? So all of that has to be in the music. So could you try just the opening and see whether we can get some more tragedy? There was some, but my heart wasn't torn out by those chords. I was impressed. I was very impressed with his playing. At the beginning, I thought, wow, this is a great cellist. And then I thought, wow, he's a great cellist. Wow, he's really great. He's really great. Yeah, I mean, it's like a very beautiful woman. You know, a beautiful woman comes in, oh, wow, that's a beautiful woman. She's really beautiful. What else you got? It can be a distraction. Actually, can be a distraction to be beautiful and to be a great cellist. Isn't that funny, in a way? So what I would wish for you, although you'll never do it, is to play like a pig sometimes. I bet you've never been asked to do that. Since you were this high, always play better, play better, play better, play in tune, play. No, don't worry about that. You never need to worry about that. But will you give us access to our heart? Okay, so begin the... Can I suggest one thing? I don't want to interfere with your cello playing, but can I suggest you get through the chord very quickly and then... Go right right to the end, because this is too comfortable. It's an E minor chord, it's a dark chord. And then the next one is even more dark. It's the last 6 inches of the bow. Try that. Yeah, okay, let's say, get through the chord by there. And then spare the bow, and then as you get to the point, make a crescendo. Again. Music is almost always built in 3s, or very often. 1, 2, and then 3. And it's either I, you, we, or 1, 2, 3. This is definitely 1, 2, 3, isn't it? The first chord, the second chord, and now toy. The third is the most, right? It was a much better beginning. Can you do toy? Because it's actually only an 8th note. You're playing a long note there. And then the rest is full. If you do da-da, the rest doesn't have any meaning. But that was great. Do it more. Oh, pull. And you, as you pull, you're pulling on their heartstrings. Can you do that? It's too long also. Because again, have a relationship with the silence. That's what's interesting. But if you do, the music stops and then there's a chord. That was great. You do it one more time. And this time, don't think about the cello as an instrument to play. Think of the cello as something to be with. Sorrow, pride, grandeur, desperation. Particularly, that C, you could come really late with that. That'd be great. One more time. This lady came from France and she's going like this. She's going. You touched her. You got to her. Yeah. That's all that matters. It was great. Bravo. Let's go on. Clarinets. What do you think's happening here? What's this music about here in this place?
Kind of searching for something.
Great, exactly. Searching, maybe asking a question. Again, 3s. If you're too slow, we've lost interest already in your question. Now, and there's the answer in the tune. Everything is leading to the violas, isn't that right? So try. And if you could look questioning, because you look like a cellist. I always say to my conducting students, don't conduct. Don't conduct. Conducting is not what an orchestra needs. Conducting is being the music. You might even raise your eyebrows. So tell us a question. Say to them, I'm asking a question. Do it. You don't ask a question on a down bow. We had a question, now we want to know what the next question is, yeah? Yes, and now what? Think viola, think viola. That's the sound. That you want there, the sound of a viola, right? That was great. Everybody's clear. Everybody's going, yeah, that was a question, right? Beautiful. One more time. And then and go to that F sharp and say to your viola section, this is what I want you to sound like. Right? Yeah. Yeah, you look anxious. You don't, it's just a question. You don't know the answer. You're, oh no. You have a number of physical gestures which suggest you're worried. Very few pieces of music were written to represent worry. Right. That is very little. Mostly it's something, something we want to be involved in, like questioning. Questioning is great, so be excited. He played a little wrong note. It was great. Should we give him a little applause? And he looked upset. He said, oh, I played the wrong note. Do you know what Elgar said about this tune? Did you ever find out what he said? Oh, it's his tune. This is me, he said. He said, when I'm dead, and if you hear somebody whistling this tune on the moors in Yorkshire where he lived, he said, that'll be me. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, so if you... there's a big problem with this technically, which is it's a huge problem. When I used to teach cello when I was young, and I had a student who was 8 years old, and he said, in the middle of the lesson, he said, why does the bow go up and down? He said, the music goes round and round. You should have a bow that goes round the back. So I've been looking for 50 years, looking for a bow that goes round the back. If you could write, I recommend very much one buttock playing. It could be the other buttock. Then you'll get a sense of a huge long line. And imagine Elgar whistling on the moors. Should we just try the last two bars? Maybe even, it's beautiful, everything you do is beautiful. Would you do it a little bit more soulfully, a little bit less out there, more internally? It's very personal. I mean, you do what you want, but it's one of the saddest tunes ever written, actually. Isn't it beautiful? So just try the two bars, the cellos. This chord is so beautiful. That's it. Oh. That's it. Oh. Yeah. I give assignments to the youth orchestra. This afternoon I'm going to give an assignment. Give everything you've got and watch the ripples. That's the assignment. Give everything you've got. And you've got much more than the cello playing. And we heard it. Those people just said, we did a good thing to come from Connecticut to hear that. Right? I mean, that's worth it. Right? To hear that, that's worth it. But it takes everything we got. Isn't that right? That's beautiful. And the way you build that, you know, when you get to that E, I love the way you did that. Just do that, and then we'll go on. We should go on anyway, because there's so much to do. But let's go on. Let's go on. Yeah. It's a 40s. Conductor. Whoa. Whoa. You know, there's a tradition in English music. The English wrote beautiful music for strings, or some of the best music ever written. And Elgar, you know what instrument he played? No, the violin. He was a violinist. He was a professional violinist, so he knew the strings. But the world of pastoral life is very crucial in England, and English composers understood that perhaps better than anybody. Britain and all the composers, they could write music for the countryside, and that's what this is. So this is country music, like the undulating hills of England, very gentle. Do that. Now tender. Yeah, that's it. What is that? What is that? What is that? I know it's a down bow, but that's not what I mean.
Right.
So what is it?
It's something a bit urinating.
Yeah, it's a sigh.
Yeah,
it's a human sigh. It's only the cello can do it. Do it again. Sighing. Can I suggest one bit? I never interfere in people's cello playing, but play it here and in the middle of the bow. Now look at her face. That's how music works. You do something beautiful like that and she says, oh. And that's how it works. Music is a human communication language. That's all it is. And you just did it. It was perfect. In fact, for the rest of your life, that's all you should pay attention to, because the rest of it will take care of itself, I'm quite certain. And now your cello teacher will be going on about you let him, but please, that woman, or this lady, well, it's your grandmother. So, grandmothers are great because they always know what they like. You know, trust the grandmothers. Say, yeah, I don't like that one. Oh, I really like that. That's all you need to go on. Never mind the critics. Do one more time. And make that the most tender sigh. Beautiful piano playing. Another sigh. Now relax. Can you do that? Can you do that very difficult passage with a smile on your face? Can you do it? It's so tender and beautiful. There's no worry, but you're worried because it's high, and so you think you might play out of tune. Be my guest. Okay, you probably couldn't play out of tune if you wanted to, because you're so good. But don't worry about that. Do the second phrase. Clarinets. Yeah, aren't you lucky to have this pianist? Isn't she great? Now, big smile. Oh, is that beautiful? I tell you something, that great lady who's come here from Connecticut is crying. Do you realize that? She's crying. She's not impressed. She's hot. She's touched. Ah, well done. And you suddenly became a completely different person, if I may say so. Because, you know, this is very hard to do what you're doing. This is a very competitive world. You know, there's competitions and auditions and schools and that's the mood that people are in, always looking over their shoulder, wondering who's better. But Elgar wasn't writing about that. He was saying farewell to life. And so if you can put that all behind you, even when you're in the practice room, just say, what it's about that woman. Look at her face. Do you see, it's about that. And we forget, in the music schools, we forget it because everybody's so busy and rushing and classes and the grades. Oh my God, the grades. That's why I give all my students at the beginning of the year, I gave them an A. Right at the beginning of the year, I didn't have to worry anymore. You know? Isn't that great? Give everybody an A. Just give everybody an A in your life. You'll be amazed what happens. And you know what we used to do in that class? I would ask them to write a letter at the beginning of the year, right in September, and I'd say, write a letter dated May, that's when the class ended, in May of the next year, and you're in May, and then you write, Dear Mr. Zander, I got my A because. Then they would write, describing who they would have become by the next May. And that's the person I would teach, the person that they had in that letter. I love that smile. Great. Do it again. Second phrase. And when you get to the, and imagine you were just whistling or playing it on a flute. The second phrase. Oh, so sad. Can I just say one thing? It's a tiny thing, but you say, sadly, sadly, or instead of sadly. Right, only the first word, the first syllable. One last time. even sadder than before. Bravo, bravo. You touched a lot of people this morning with your playing, with this playing. And that's what it's about. And remember that story of Casado. And you were playing great. You missed a note. I was very happy when you missed it. You were miserable. Because perfection is great, but it's not enough. It's great. It's a terrific thing to aim for. It's like running the 4-minute mile and then the 3-minute mile and all that. That's great stuff. But is that all that life is about, running? No. So what you did today was you created relationships. People in this room, there are people in this room who will never forget you. Is that amazing? There's an 11-year-old there, or a 9-year-old, or whatever he is. I mean, look at him, and look at his face. He's just saying, wow, that was great. And he plays the saxophone, and he learned about the cello just now. But most he learned about the heart. And that's our job. We're like preachers. We teach people about life. We teach people what's available to us as human beings. Love and sorrow and joy and the capacity for overcoming huge odds. And that's Elgar. And it's Mahler too. Different, very, very different. But Elgar came in an English package, so there's always some nice reserve, and Mahler, this is frenetic and Jewish, and But Elgar suffered just as much. And when you get to the end of this concerto, it breaks every heart. Right. Do you know that this piece is the single most popular piece of classical music in England? Really? Isn't that amazing? Number 1. Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto is number 2. She's Russian. Do you know whose fault that is? You know who created that?
Jackie Dupre.
Absolutely. Jackie Dupre. One musician took this piece and not only made it our own, but made it belong to humanity. Really. Mm-hmm. And you're in that line. You're a cellist. I played with Jackie Dupre. We played the 2 cello quintet of Schubert when she was 15.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she played, she played, you play just as well. That's not the issue. So what's the issue for you? And it's a big deal because this is your life. I mean, are you going to be a really good cellist, or are you going to make a difference in the world as an artist? And that's what's here at stake today. Mm-hmm. So the assignment, Give everything you have, and then watch the ripples. You're missing out on a lot of information that's coming to you because you never look up. You know. So that's something. But it's great. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. You're just great. Absolutely great. I'm so happy to meet you. Really, it's just absolutely great. And thanks, Lena. Great. Wonderful. Fantastic. It's beautiful. Look at just. Danny, just come before you leave. Just come and have a good look at this face. I want you to see. I want you to see. That's what it looks like when you touch somebody. That's what they look like. Isn't that great? Just come and do me a favor. You see, look, that. You see, that's what human beings are supposed to. That's the design of human beings. But unfortunately, our life is not organized so that people go around looking like that. You know, if you went around the street looking like that, they'd come along and take you away in a white van. You know, but that's what it's for. And if you could really get that, when you go back to the conservatory, don't forget this. All right? Thank you. Great. Sarah.